Hi, everybody on YouTube. What is going on? We're kicking off a brand new week here on Spaced Out Radio with Butch Witkowski and Strange Days. Yes, we'll see what we can do to fire up Butch tonight because I know there's something out there that's got to be pissing him off. So we will figure that out momentarily when we bring Butch on. We want to say hello to everyone in our chat room so far. Mike in the gold medal position. We have SJ taking home the silver. Jack Clark in the bronze medal position. Sean and Race Fan, how you doing? And we got Jan Yannick. How you doing, buddy? Emily Bigelow, a.k.a. Alaska's greatest athlete. Thank you, gorgeous, for the amazing super chat and kicking it off tonight. Really do appreciate you and everything that you do. MPM, a.k.a. Cecil is Love. Cecil is Life. How are you? Nicola, the gorgeous Stephanie, and the stunning Ange in Australia are here. The lovely and talented Cosmic Fleur is back. Noble Patrick, how you doing, man? Good to see you. James Horn, Luftaug, and Gary Spikes Jr. is here. Gary will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right. Jurassic Joey, it's been a while. Good to see you here. The gorgeous Renee, thanks for coming on in. The stunning and talented Chefist is here, everyone. Yes, give him a clap. He'll be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind. Gorgeous Jules, how are you? And Go 66, boo to you. Thanks for coming on in. Aiden, nice to see you. Stephen Bonang from Halifax. Good to have you here, my friend. Thank you for coming on in. Mama Susan, how are you? Thank you. By the way, isn't it a nice night? Just a fantastic night when, the Leafs lost. Yes, the Leafs lost 67. 67. Love it. Love it. War Eagle and Ed Clater. How you doing, man? Thanks for coming on in. And Big Bad Sean. Nate Foote. There he is. Nate Foote from Washington State. John Ballerman. How are you, my friend? Good to see you. Fapster and the gorgeous Michelle C. What is going on? Greg Moyes. Good to see you. Thurston Howell III and little Deborah are here. Welcome to the show. Michael Morris, thank you for coming on in. My gorgeous wrench Jenny is here, everyone. Give her a clap. She likes a good clap, especially on Mondays. Yes. Noble Patrick, thank you for joining us. Focus, what's happening, man? Good to see you. And let's see, where are we here? Justin S., welcome to the show. And the lovely and talented Sherry Knight is here. Give us a little bow. We want a curtsy, Sherry. We want a curtsy tonight. So if you don't mind, we'd appreciate that. Rich Hilke's here, everyone. $5,900. And the lovely and talented Jessica McCreary. She likes people to wave back when she waves at her. So we'll all wave back at Jessica McCreary there. JCL Ohio, welcome to our channel for the first time, I believe. Good to see you. Millennium, how you doing, buddy? Thanks for coming on in. Murray F., how's it going, bud? Space Cow, yes, the Leafs lose. That is the greatest news of the night. I don't know about you, but I am happy. Terry Brown and Edmund Rakowski, welcome to the show. Hallmark Corey, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. And let's scroll on up. The lovely and talented Tina P is here, everyone. Michael Lestuca and Nucker, how are you, buddy? Tokyo Chicken, welcome to our chat room for the first time. How are you? And we're glad you're here. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Ozzy, sister, how are you? You're looking lovely and talented way down under. Thank you for joining us. Oh, yes. No, I will rub it in, Millennium. I will rub it in. Because, hey, there's Super Duke. There's Super Duke. Believe it or not, he is wearing a cape tonight. And Mental Pancakes, Chris Reap, welcome to the show. Oh, the Leafs lost. The air is just a little bit cleaner tonight. The birds are singing even louder. And I'll tell you, just a beautiful, beautiful night. Just a beautiful night. How you doing, Super Butch?
I'm fine, sir. I take it you're not a Leafs fan.
No, fuck no. Anthony Koths, how are you, man? Good to see you. I did have a great weekend, Cosmic Fleur. Up here, we don't have Memorial Day. So today was a work day, but I'm feeling better. I wasn't feeling too good earlier today. since late Saturday night. I was kind of having like an anxiety attack, and I kind of worked through that. I came home early from my daytime job. My boss kind of laughed at me. He goes, you just want some time off. Take the afternoon off. And you know what? He goes, I know we owe you a few days off, so next week or something, we'll give you a few days. So I'm like, oh, that's cool, boss. And he's like, yeah, you're cool. And I'm like, yeah, you're cool. And then we hugged it out, literally hugged it out. Steve Stockton from KPNL. How you doing, brother? Special Ed, good to see you. Project Blue Book, thanks for coming on in. A great way to support this show is to hit that subscribe button, ring that bell. The super chat is open. Thank you to Emily Pemley. Aussie Steve, how are you? Let us know how tomorrow is looking and if we are alive. We got 5 seconds till we go. Badass Butch is here. We're going to kick this off right now, people. Sit back. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free for you by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. Oh, yes. Guess who's back? The Butch is back. And we've had some strange days lately, especially in the UFO world. And what better time to bring in our resident curmudgeon, Butch Witkowski from UFOcop.com. And we have Butch here once a month. He's a former police officer who now spends his retirement chasing monsters and legends, from UFOs to bipedal canines, roaming around the state forests of Pennsylvania. UFOcop.com, once again, is his website. Super Butch, have you got your website fixed yet after the hackers took it down?
New website goes up next weekend.
Very nice.
It'll be .org instead of .com.
Very nice. Very nice. How you been doing?
Good. Busy. Very busy. A lot of things happening. A lot of stuff going on. I didn't expect that. I mean, it kind of slowed down over the wintertime, and usually it's a slow pickup going into the summer, but we're busy.
I want to start off with a little bit of breaking news tonight. Yes. Mr. UFO, Timothy Beckley, we all found out this evening, had passed away. Don't know how he passed away as of yet, but I don't even know his age, because he sure didn't look his age, that's for sure. Considering he'd been studying UFOs for 55 plus years, he must have started it when he was like 3 years old or something like that. But he made an incredible impact early on in the field of ufology. And he also was the first one that we know of to capture a photo of a real man in black. And, he loved his rock and roll. He was very well known to the band members of KISS and other band members who were very much into the UFO world. It was all about UFOs and rock and roll for this legendary researcher. What do you know about him?
Well, I've been interviewed by Tim number of times. I'm in all of his books. He has a plethora of my reports and investigations over the years in his books. Great guy. He was kind to everybody. I mean, there was nobody that he didn't like. His radio show was a real success for many, many years. And he'll be missed. Great friend. I mean, when I had my heart attack, he was like one of the first people to get a hold of me when I got home and told me what to do and what not to do. He was like, became my second doctor. He, all I have to say is he'll be missed, and I wish him Godspeed.
Yeah, this is a big loss for the community. Like, he may not have had the name to many new ufologists as, say, a Richard Dolan or a Grant Cameron, but I mean, he really put his entire life, his entire emotions, his entire heart into this field. And what was about his research that made him so special, in your opinion?
He would delve into the deepest, darkest corners of whatever he was looking at, and would go to no ends at all to put that all together. He is very diligent in his work. His knowledge of the past, the UFO studies, stuff that I didn't even know about, that I've gained from his books. It's a lot. It really is a loss for ufology. People say, well, Stanton Friedman was a loss. Well, Stanton Friedman didn't have anything on this guy. I mean, his background, his knowledge, his way of interviewing people, his reporting, his books. I mean, anybody interested in ufology, just pick up his books. Matter of fact, I just got the two new ones sent to me about 4 weeks ago, and they're 11 by 14 by, I think there's 650 some pages of everything in ufology that anybody would ever want to know.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Who the people in ufology were, the famous cases, the not so famous cases. He just covered everything. He was just a really one of those people that, I didn't know him from Adam a number of years back, and he called me up. We talked on the phone about doing an interview on a show. Until it was done, it was like I knew this guy all my life. He's just one of those kind of guys. And like you said, only guy to ever photograph Men in Black.
I remember I had him on the show twice. I hadn't had him on in a couple of years. And, he was always one of those names you kind of bandy about, like, I got to get him back on. But when you're in a position like I am, it's always tough because there's so much going on so many times. But I remember the first time that I interviewed Timothy Beckley, and I couldn't believe, like, here's this guy who is, a real name player in this field. And he treated everybody. Didn't matter if you were brand new to the field like I was, or if you were a complete veteran. He treated everybody the same. Yeah. Treated everybody the same. Like hey, we're all in this for the same reason. Let's help each other out. I don't think he had a bad bone in his body.
I've never heard him say a bad thing about anybody ever. Even the ones that he should have, he didn't.
Yes. That photograph that he got of the Man in Black, I know you've looked into it. We've talked a lot of Men in Black with you over the years. What made that photograph so special?
The timing. It was there. He took the photograph. He went to load the camera again. It wasn't digital, it was film. Went to load it, advanced the film, went right back up, and they weren't there. Neither was the car. And they were both there. I mean, it doesn't take long or a lot of effort to advance film on a film camera. It's just like click, click, it's done. And that quick, they were gone. Nobody walked past him. He saw nobody move. Boils down to it is what it is. And nobody ever challenged him on that photograph, ever.
Well, let's move on here because the UFO world has been upside down since the last time we had you on. And Fox News actually reached out to me to get a hold of you today. What happened there?
Well, with the current uptake through media of all these UFO reports coming out of the Navy and the military, overseas, different countries, the the fact that, disclosure is just around the corner. And that's what they wanted to know, because they had a fellow send in 3 photographs of an alleged UFO up in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. And it was, I looked at them, but they need some work. They got to be cleaned up a little bit. Anything off a cell phone got to be cleaned up. You just can't look at something and say, oh, definitely that's a UFO, or definitely that's a bird, or, whatever, or a bug splatter on your windshield. They have to be cleaned up. And you got to check the pixel alignment and all that stuff till you get it all right. And then it kind of tells you what it is. But it is high in the sky, the photograph. It does have a shape to it in the 3 shots he took, so that doesn't change. Now, I can't say it's a plastic bag. It's way up too high for that. It's not a bird. So once I clean it up tomorrow, I'll have a better idea what it is, and I'm going to give her a call back and send her what I found.
Well, look at that. Look at that.
Well, there's so much going on, Dave. I mean, it's not just here in Pennsylvania. It's everywhere. Heck, I got 2 reports. Today is Monday. It would have been Wednesday. I got 2 reports from Florida.
Well, that's awesome.
Not that I'm close to Florida, but I got 2 reports from Florida.
Sticking with the UFOs, what do you think of the media attention that is going on right now with the field of UFOs? I mean, is this just build up to a report that'll either likely be delayed or likely be very limited in its impact? Or is this just the fact that we actually see finally the mainstream public and media taking this seriously?
Well, I think the mainstream media is taking it seriously, because for years they're the ones that would go, ha, 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 ha. The giggle factor was the first thing that came across the screen. And even stuff that was seen by average folks on the street, they just blew it away, just done. When the military starts showing gun camera films and you're listening to the pilots talking between themselves, fighter pilots, that kind of snapped them. And then all of a sudden, you got Lou Alessandro out there, and you got this secretive UFO organization. And I think it's just a conglomeration of things that are just we'll see what happens. I mean, I don't know what disclosure is all about. I mean, we know what they are. We know where they're at. What are they going to tell us? Who they are or where they're from? Don't know. Be nice. That'd be different. But disclosure's been out there ever since I started, and that's 30-some years ago. I mean, we don't have anything in the sky that can do that. And then I guess the kicker that really got everybody cranked up was the video from the destroyer off the coast of California that photographed a number of them around the ship, and then one diving into the water, which lent a lot of credence to USOs. So, look, if you're going to hide someplace, go to the Amazon, go up your way, or, go dive in the water. There's so much, people don't realize how much land and sea there is. It's never even been touched. 4% of the ocean has been explored? That's a lot of nothing. And, there's places in Montana that no white man has ever stepped foot in. So I think this disclosure will be interesting. I don't expect anything absolutely stunning, unless somebody like Biden walks out on the stage with an alien inside of him, but I doubt that's going to happen. As usual, I think the government will just kind of tell them enough to keep them quiet.
I find it very interesting that we are at this point right now, because so many people right now are just very, very, how can you put it? Very, very up to date with what's going on, but we don't know what we're up to date with, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think of the news that's happening here with everything, Butch? Because when we look at UFOs and we look at the way things are going these days with the media coverage, the stories, everybody seems to be breaking around it. The stories are really all coming from left, right, and center, and I don't get it, man. I don't get it at all. You know, I mean, we're trying our darndest here in order to make things happen and get the word out. But in reality, what is the truth these days? What do you think?
Well, the truth has always been out there. I mean, there's stuff has been reported by astronauts, by the space station folks, um, astrologists, astronomers. I mean, there's been so many reports over the years. I mean, you're talking about thousands and thousands of reports, but you know, methinks you got a hacker trying to break into your.
Yeah, that's what I'm dealing with here.
Uh,
So when it comes down to the UFO side of everything, how do we know where we're getting proper information from?
wow, that's a good question. I mean, it's like I couldn't tell you that. I just don't know who would give you. You know, the guys that are out there that I know, everybody tries to, um, put the stuff out there. We first of all, we only can put out what we get. We don't know where they're coming from. We don't know if there's even anybody in those things. We don't know how long they've been here. We don't know any of that. I mean, there's just so much we don't know that it's crazy. But stuff keeps happening. It's just photographs keep coming in, video keeps coming in, and for the military to turn over video, that's a real plus. I mean, that just doesn't happen. And then you've got some folks that um, they have a lot of information, but they're afraid of the men in black or whoever. So it's almost like they make deathbed confessions. You know, they'll leave that information to somebody else, or they'll pass it on to somebody else, and it goes nowhere. It just doesn't go anywhere. So, I mean, everybody that I know is really interested to see what the government's going to come up with.
Right.
You can't get anything out of Lou Alexandra. Yeah, I keep pronouncing his name wrong. Alessandro. Um, he just talks around in circles, so it just gives me a headache. But we'll see. I mean, it's coming. It's not going to be too long, and we'll see what happens. See what they say, or what they're going to produce. Are they going to show us a craft that was, pieced together from back in Roswell, or something more recent? The interesting thing, one guy I was talking to the other day said that Russia has not said anything, nothing, and they probably have as many as we have. And wow, it's just for them to be quiet during all this. I don't know.
As you are getting these investigations, then the public and the publicity is moving on up. I want to ask you in regards to what you are going through is, do you end up seeing more reports because people are paying more attention?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We very seldom ever got reports from north central Pennsylvania, and if it was misidentification of something, because we can track aircraft. We have programs that do that. I can track an aircraft that leaves California and track it all the way across the country. But as long as I have the time and date, and a lot of this stuff was just commercial. Recently, though, there's been about half a dozen in the last month out of that area that are absolutely triangles. They are the photographs I've gotten. I can't. They are what they are. There's nothing to check out. They have, I'd say on the average, if we got anything out of that area, maybe 2 a year, maybe, that were decent or, at least meant something. And then all of a sudden now it's like they're almost at the top of the line. But wow, this guy's got a mouth on him, don't he?
Yeah, try not to pay attention to it.
Oh, I can go to
My
private.
my mods are on it.
I changed it to private chat. I don't have to look at it. I was waiting for him to start on Polish Boys. But anyway, there's a lot going on, Dave, as far as UFOs. Right now, I'm working on 3 bipedal cases. We have camera traps out. They were out a little over 2 weeks. I just went down, pulled the cards, and got them back up and doing their thing. But the thing that not bothered me, but the thing that caught my eye was because I have them set up for taking a photograph every 1 second. Well, I changed that to every 3 seconds. I had hundreds and hundreds of them to look at. So, I saw the normal deer, the birds, the squirrels running around, all that kind of stuff. But I'm familiar with the property at that state game land because I used to hunt there. But there's an old farm there, and the only thing left of the old farm is maybe about a 4 or 5 foot high section of the stone farmhouse. There's a section of wall that's about that high, and something crossed between the one. Well, I didn't have the camera aimed exactly at that. I was off to the right of that because there's a trail there, and I wanted the camera to stay on that trail. But there was enough of it on the camera that I got about maybe 6 foot of that wall. That's probably 20 foot long of foundation, and a shadow, large, very large, like human looking, but what looked to be the waist, and it's a shadow. So you got to really kind of use your imagination a little bit. But where the waist would be was above that wall by about a foot. So went down and turned that camera and another camera to just stay in that area. Now, where that old farmhouse is way deep in the woods. Hunters are probably the only guys that ever get to see it. Been there forever. And there's just a little walking trail. There's nothing exciting, no road to drive back or anything like that. I walked the trail a little bit, didn't see anything. So didn't see any broken branches or anything fresh. So I just moved moved one camera and put a new camera in. Left the other 3 sit where they are because we've had 2 bipedal reports in that area, and we had a rake report in that area, in that same area. And I'm not too worried about the cameras, anything happening to them, because the rangers know where the cameras are, so they'll keep an eye on them. But it's just like out of the way stuff that we're getting. Low flying, quote unquote, planes that have wings like birds. I have no idea what that means. We're getting a drawing. Guy's going to have a nephew or something that's an artist make a drawing. But he said it looked like a plane, size-wise, maybe a Cessna or something like that, or Piper Cub. But the wings, he said, were definitely bird, looked just like a bird. I said, I said outstretched, like a condor or an eagle or something like that. He said, yeah, like that. I said, what did the tail look like? He said, I didn't notice. What? Okay.
Well, let's hold it right there, Butch, because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Butch Witkowski's Strange Days happens near the end of each month here on Spaced Out Radio. Welcome to the SOR as we continue right after this. All right, we're clear.
Okay.
Just I've had to make a bunch of people moderators here to help clean up this bullshit. Yeah.
That's wild. I'd never seen that before.
It happens about once every number of months. It's probably happened like 8 months ago last time. So, I mean, just keep on blocking and reporting.
Guy needs his mouth washed out with really bad soap.
I don't think it's people. I think it's a computer.
Ah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty disgusting.
Uh-huh.
It's very disgusting. So
we gotta find him and slap him around a little bit.
Yeah.
Or slap him around a lot.
Hey, Lee Veltman, Typical Watch, Silent Edge, how are you? The funny part about it is they start throwing in comments, add me, like we don't know who the hell our regulars are here, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Add me as a mod.
Mm-mm-mm.
Yeah. Idiots.
Yes.
This is what virgins do.
Yeah. Yeah. Ain't got nothing else to do. Ain't gonna be doing anybody.
Yeah.
How much time we got there, Speedy?
We've got we got about 3.5 minutes, bud.
Okay. Oh, I'll be right back.
Yeah, no problem, buddy. Hey, John Nunya. I'm surprised you're here. Sold Out Radio, right?
I have returned.
No problem. Well, that's John. That's not what your comment said the other day in another chat room, John. And I don't like that stuff. I don't play that game. All right. Well, looks. Oh, that was a good attack. That was nice.
Yeah. It was different. Never saw it before.
Oh yeah. It's they're still going a little bit, but I mean it's and here they go again. All right, we're going to get going here in just a couple of seconds here. So, yeah. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. Really do appreciate earning your listening ears. We want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on with Butch Witkowski's Strange Days tonight as we hammer on down on everything weird and strange. Now, Butch, you said right before the break, as your website, uforcop.com, you said right before the break that you were getting a lot of new reports on strange creatures. You mentioned the Rake.
Yes.
This one absolutely blows me away because this thing seems to have going from mythical status, much like the Hat Man or Siren Head, into reality. What's going on there?
We've gotten 2 reports, one earlier this year and one more recent about 2 months ago, where a gentleman working in his yard, getting ready to plant stuff, just digging dirt basically, and he looked up and his home kind of sits on a slope. So the house is not the bottom of the slope, and then the yard kind of slopes up, and at the top of the yard where it flattens out, he has a garden, and that's what he was working at, and it abuts a tree line. And he said he just took a break, he just put the shovel in the ground, was leaning on it, smoking a cigarette, and he just saw this tall, really pale white, very thin, long-armed, whatever, just kind of stroll by the woods. It was inside the wood line, maybe about 20 feet. He said just like nothing was going on, it just walked right past him. Didn't look at him. He didn't look at, it didn't make any motion toward him or anything like that. And he said he just stood there. He couldn't believe what he saw. And he tried to report it to some cryptozoologist, which he couldn't get a hold of. And he got a hold of Lon Strickler. And then Lon sent it to me because it's right down the road from me. And I did talk to the gentleman, and he said, I'm giving you the best description I can. He was very tall, like 7 foot, maybe a little higher. And everything was spindly, like the legs, there was no definition other than like 2 straight sticks. The arms were the same way, hanging real low. No hair of any type. It was just hairless. And he said, and just pure white. He said, as white as you can get. And I said, wow. He said, but not like skin. He said it just looked like he was wearing a white suit, but it was all one piece. He could not define fingers or any toes or anything like that. Then he said just walked on by. So I got to talk to another gentleman that I know lives near there. I know him from hunting and stuff in that area. And he said, hey, the first time that's been reported a few times. So I tried to find who it was reported to, but I had no luck with that. They probably just got blown off. But we have a camera set up there, so we'll see what happens. But those Rake reports, they really picked up steam in the last 2 years. And in strange places like West Virginia, North Carolina, I believe, South Carolina, and a couple in Florida. And the descriptions are all the same. They're just very tall, very skinny, no definition of any type, and what they are. No definition to the face, like eyes or nose, teeth, hair, nothing, no ears or anything like that. And they're all described the same way. They're just like walk through, and or they're walking in an area where they can be seen. And I have no idea what that is. I find it hard to believe that it would be that number of reports from people just making stuff up. So we'll see. We got a camera trap out. I don't know how we'll make out with that. Now, one guy told me he did try that. He tried a camera trap, he said, but he didn't get anything. So I don't know what's going to become of it. It's just weird because, like you said, you had the Hat Man, you had the Shadow Man, you had all these different things that were reported over the last 3, 4, 5 years, and then they kind of died away, and then this picked up. So I have no idea what they are. There's none that I saw one report out of, I believe it was New Mexico, up around Albuquerque, but I haven't seen a lot of those reports at all. I mean, that was the only one, and plus the ones that were here in Pennsylvania and a couple down south. Don't know what they are.
How often is this creature being seen?
Oh, every couple months there's a report somewhere, either down south or up in the east. The one in the west in New Mexico was the only one I ever saw out there. Never saw any others. Now, tonight, and I didn't really get to look at it, but there's a new a photograph of a chupacabra in Texas. So I really didn't get to look at it because it was showtime. So, but it's on the internet, and I have no idea yet. I didn't read it, but the ones that they said the pictures that were always produced for a chupacabra were really a hairless Mexican dog. I mean, you could see it was a dog. This is a little different. This is much longer in the body, much higher, much longer, broader snoot from the little bit I looked at it. So I'm anxious to take a look at it and find out who made the report and see if I can get a hold of them. But there's just so many odd things being seen all of a sudden. 2 cops in England, and their videos on YouTube, I believe, where they're just on patrol, and this hunchback, very tall, very muscular thingy, for lack of a better word, because they didn't know what it was, just like walked across in front of them on the highway, and they got it on the dash cam. And it says on the dash cam certified, plus the time and date and all that stuff. So who knows what that is? I don't know. There's just so many weird things going on right now, even in the paranormal field. The giant bird sightings out in Chicago, Illinois, they just don't stop. They just keep coming in on almost a daily basis. And I have no idea. I could never wrap my head around that, because when somebody's telling me they're seeing a bird size of a plane, like, I don't get it. I mean, and then when they start describing it, they're describing a pterodactyl, wingspan, head, tail. I don't know. I can't put 2 and 2 together on that one. And the little bit of that investigation I was involved in the very beginning, all I was looking for was underground Chicago, what's down underground. And it turned out that there's a lot of old train tracks and stuff down there. Before the post office would deliver, they would put mail on these little carts and then push them down the tracks to the other side of town, or vendors would ship merchandise back and forth on these things. And they've been closed up for years, but there's still some that are open. And one guy said that he saw them, under an underpass. Under that underpass is a connection, down into these catacomb railroads. And don't know, but these giant birds are being seen everywhere. Stan Gordon just put a report out. It was this week. or last week, end of the week, of a giant bird, a thunderbird report in his area. But now he's had a couple of them, but nothing like out in Chicago. I mean, I don't know how many they have now. It's got to be over 100, at least. I mean, a lot of witnesses, some police officers' witnesses, a lot of photographs, but nobody can seem to put their finger on it.
What do you think is causing all these new sightings?
Somebody told me this the other day. They thought that people are outside more because they were locked up at home, so they had no place to go, so they stayed around their houses, and they took up bird watching or star gazing or whatever, and just to keep themselves busy and not go nuts. And it was crazy. I mean, it was just like somebody opened a spigot as far as reports. It was very slow, over the cold period. And then just like that, it just opened up and it just loaded.
This bird or whatever people are seeing, is it something that we are seeing on the East Coast? Is it happening all over North America? Because I'll be honest with you, a bird that big that would show up on radar is not something that we see a lot of. And something along those lines every now and again has to go to the bathroom, Butch. That would mean a lot of trees, a lot of cars, a lot of houses, a lot of streets are painted white.
Well,
we're not seeing it.
No, we don't see that. But one of the things is with those type of birds that they're describing, they never took off from the ground. In other words, those birds were too heavy. Wings were wrong and everything, that they could just, take a running and take off. They had to be on a high area. They had to be like on top of a mountain or on top of a raised area where they could drop down and just pick it up and go. And most of these reports, they're seen around really tall buildings. They're seen around, when they're close to the lakes there's like towers to unload ships and stuff. They've been seen on top of those. And now 2 weeks ago, what pops up out of all of this? Mothman, back down in West Virginia. And I went like, not again. And, that kind of died out years ago, and then it got picked up again. So now we have Mothman reports. We don't, but the people down there do. I don't know. I tried to put two and two together with all these reports coming out, and just can't. There's just too many of them. They're all over the place. So, don't know. I have no idea.
Do you believe that maybe people are seeing a different timeline?
That's been brought up a couple times because when it first started, most of the reports were like late afternoon, getting into dusk. And then a little bit went by, and then they were seen like around noonish, especially of the ones around the water. And that was a big deal. There's a lot of them seen around the water, but yet and all the boats that are out on those lakes. I don't think there's ever been a report that I read where there's been a report from a boat, fishing boat or pleasure boat or anything. But just like they had them land at the airport. I think it was FedEx or UPS at their terminal. A guy went outside to take his break, and there was one in the parking lot walking around. And what he described was a pterodactyl.
Pterodactyl.
Yeah. You have people in Texas reporting miniature Tyrannosaurus rexes. I'm sure it's a lizard of some sort, but they say it looks just like a Tyrannosaurus rex, but smaller, like a foot tall. I don't know. It's getting weirder and weirder every day.
What's with the increase of dinosaurs that people are seeing? I mean, that's just right out of the blue.
Yeah, that did come out of nowhere. Um, I guess it started maybe a couple years ago, where some guy sent in a picture to some cryptozoologist out in the Midwest, and it was actually a picture of a Komodo dragon lizard. And he said there's two of them running around his backyard. And he said he's thinking of keeping them for pets. And then somebody said, "What, are you out of your mind? A Komodo will eat you just as quick as it would eat anything else." But there have been reports of small raptors in the Carolina, right along in Carolina, between North and South Carolina. There have been the miniature Tyrannosaurus Rex, the pterodactyls. I mean, there's just so many weird things, but a lot of that stuff really originated in the West, like in the Four Corners area of the country, and that's crazy. I mean, if I see a Komodo dragon out in my yard, he's getting both barrels. But I don't know. I just don't know where this stuff is coming from. And these people are adamant when you talk to them about the report or you question them on the report. They're adamant about what they saw. They said they're not making it up. This is what we saw. This is where it went. This is how it moved. Sometimes they'll send a picture and they'll say this is a picture of it, but this is what it looked like. You're looking at something that died thousands and thousands of years ago. But I don't know. I just don't know. This is probably the weirdest year in my 30-some years of reports that I just stare at them. I have no clue what they're talking about. And a lot of these animals that they're describing, they're just massive. I mean, can you imagine a bird the size of a Learjet? And if nobody's ever saw a Learjet, they're big. They're not little. That's no Cessna. That's no puddle jumper. But then you got a lot of stuff going on with the undersea world. There was a write-up just the other day. I think I read it on last Friday, where a naval submarine, a hunter-killer submarine, tracked a object underwater in the Atlantic going 300 knots underwater. Our fastest destroyers only do 30 knots, or a little better than that, 32. 300? That's like a bullet underwater. And they have it on their scope. I mean, they have the visual proof. They don't know what it is. They don't really have a shape on it because it moved by so fast. At first, they thought it was a torpedo, but a torpedo doesn't go that fast. So now what are we dealing with? Now we're going to have, I think a lot of these guys that have been on these ships and in these planes, they're tired of holding that secret. They're going to start spilling their beans. They're going to start telling us what they see, when they seen. There was one report of a destroyer that was off of San Diego, where it's almost a daily affair, where there's 5 or 6 objects above the ship. Why would you let them get that close to the ship? Why ain't they shooting it down? Whatever it is, or something. I don't know. They're not drones. That's the first thing is somebody said, "Oh, they're just drones flying around." No, drones don't fly that high, and they're not that fast, and they don't maneuver like that. If you tried to roll over a drone and fly it upside down and go right into the drink. So what they are, nobody knows. Now they're bringing up the, 1953, where they had the UFOs fly over the Capitol and the White House. That's coming back again. So I don't know. I'm at a loss in some of this stuff because, you know, we have so many ways we can track stuff all over the world, not only by satellite, but stuff on the ground. And this is crazy. I mean, 300 knots. That's nuts. I mean, I can't even imagine what that would. I couldn't imagine. I just couldn't imagine what that would be like 300 knots underwater. That'd be like shooting a bullet. But they tracked it. They tracked it for, I think it said 7 minutes. Then it was not trackable anymore. The sound was gone. Wouldn't have wanted to be on the sub when it happened, though.
3.5 minutes to go before we got to go to break at the top of the hour. Butch Witkowski's Strange Days continues as we go on here. Butch, with these sightings of Mothman and Thunderbirds, could people actually be looking into a different timeline rather than seeing what they're actually seeing in real time?
There are a lot of, I'm not going to say reports, but I'm going to say there are a lot of talk going on between researchers that are bringing up time issues and, splitting time and folding time and, going into another realm. It's almost a daily thing now where those conversations are taking place because there's just, there was a thing on, I think that was YouTube also. And the guy's following a set of tracks from a missing person across a snowfield. And they go out so far and they just stop. They're not there anymore. I mean, and it's not like there was an impression there before and snow covered it. And it's a long trail of track. It goes about 100 yards and then it just goes away. But there's a lot of reports like that where people are tracking something or tracking somebody and they just go away. So do they enter another dimension or are they being hijacked or nobody knows? They just don't know.
Like a Thunderbird, Butch, 40 feet long, wingspan probably 60, 80 feet.
80.
Okay. Where is this hiding? Where is it sleeping? Do you imagine the size nest this thing would have to have?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this thing literally would cover up let's see, a 40-foot bird. You'd have to have a 70, 80-foot nest in diameter. You just don't walk along those or come across those.
No. But the strange part about all those type of questions are, why are they being tracked on radar? That's weird. You got a guy in a tower that thinks he's dealing with an airplane, and all of a sudden he really gets to see what he's looking at in size and shape and everything else, and he's going like, oh boy. And there's been a lot of reports from towers, from airports, especially O'Hare. And O'Hare has weird stuff happening out there for many years. 10, 12, 14 years ago, they had weird stuff going on. But the one that interested me, I guess, the most was the one where it landed in the FedEx parking lot at the terminal there at O'Hare Airport. And the guy's describing a prehistoric bird. And he said, he was like maybe half a football field away. And he said it just kind of sauntered off toward the highway. And next thing you know, he said it was up in the air.
That would be unbelievable. Butch, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break here at the top of the hour. Butch Witkowski's Strange Days happens here on Spaced Out Radio at the end of each month where we, kind of kick back, relax, and talk all things monstrous, folklorish, legendary like Butch himself. UFOcop.com. You can find UFO Cop on Facebook. We'll be back with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio right after this.
getting to be weird out there.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm going for a cigarette after all that troll. I'll be back.
Hey, I'll be here.
All right.
I'm gonna go fill my tea.
Yeah. Be right back.
I should fill it with beer, but that wouldn't work out well. Good idea. We'll smoke a cigarette.
All right. Whew.
What'd you run out?
I just want to say thank you to everybody I quickly added as a mod for helping clean up the troll attack that we had. That was pretty intense there, and really don't like that shit. So thank you. I know a couple people accidentally got blocked, and then we brought them back, and sorry if you got caught up in the panic there with everything. That was pretty insane. Manitoba Becky should be unblocked. I accidentally put her in a timeout. She should be back. So, yeah, that was stressful there for a little bit. Totally, yeah, totally stressful for a bit there. The other thing too that I quickly want to bring up is we got about a minute. Okay, I've been taking a lot of heat from a certain channel out there, and I know we have a lot of crossover listeners. And you know, you guys are more than welcome to listen to whomever you want at any time. That is your right to listen to anybody that you want at any time, and I'll never have anything. But if somebody says to me, so and so is saying bad things about Spaced Out Radio, and then you come and you're supporting that, and then coming into our room and asking or being like, oh, hey, Dave, how you doing, buddy? And all that. I don't like that stuff. Okay. I really don't. I find that a little offensive. You guys can listen to whomever you want at any time. But if I have friends who listen to a number of different shows. And if somebody comes into our Spaced Out Radio chat room after insulting us in another chat room, and then comes in here and acts like we're buddy, I don't like that stuff. I take real offense to that, and I will call it out. Okay, I will call it out. And look, just be on the level. Be on the level. If you don't like what we do, it is what it is. If you do like what we do, that's awesome.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Second hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate you tuning on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. And I want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What do you got for us tonight, Clam? Geomorphogeny? There we go. Geomorphogeny is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. And you can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on with Butch Witkowski's Strange Days. Butch has been doing this literally since, who knows? I think since the Mayflower came over. And, we appreciate Butch every time he's on here. UFO Cop, he is the lead investigator and the creator of this incredible research group. I highly recommend that if you've had any experiences, you get a hold of him. And here we go. Butch, welcome back.
Pleasure.
I appreciate you, man. Right before the break, we were talking about these Thunderbird sightings that people are seeing. And, Butch, we don't get those on the West Coast. Every time I hear about a Thunderbird sighting or a Rake sighting, well, maybe not so much the Rake, but the Thunderbirds or the Mothman, it's always in central to eastern United States. Why don't we see them here in the West?
I would think, because of the condors out there, that there would be reports of large birds, but there aren't any. It's just like they don't exist out there. It's just like in the Midwest and the East Coast. And I don't get that at all. I just really don't. I would think, if somebody just moved to California, you saw a condor, which is a very large bird, flying overhead, they'd make a report of it or something like that. Over all these years, nothing. No reports out of there at all.
Like, even if you get into the Dakotas, Idaho, Montana, where there's a lot of open range, a lot of barren land, we're not hearing it there.
No, there were a minuscule amount of them in the Four Corners a number of years ago. Utah, Colorado, in that area, but they didn't go anywhere. But then again, when you go out to the West, there are very few researchers cryptozoologists. There's a handful that I know of that cover that whole area. I don't know of any in California until you get up into like Oregon, Washington State, and up into your area, into Canada. But from there down, it just seems like, I mean, they get a lot of reports. They're always high in reports, but ain't happening. They're just not there. And I don't know why, because you get the weirdest reports out of there, like the miniature dinosaurs and giant lizards and all that stuff. But the stuff that people are seeing in other parts of the country, they don't see that stuff. So it's like the country's almost getting chopped up. Like, if you want to get involved in UFOs and Bigfoot and cryptozoology, you want to stay in the East Coast. And if you want to get to the really weird stuff like chupacabra and miniature dinosaurs and stuff, you want to go to the Midwest. South. If you want to go north, then you're going to have the birds. If you go further west, then there's a hard. I think I've only ever, in all these years, I've only ever seen 2 Bigfoot reports come out of the West. And when I say the West, like Arizona, New Mexico, 2. But you get up into Washington State and Oregon, up with you guys. I mean, they're all over the place. But it's just, there's just so many strange, at one time you could keep track of everything. Like, okay, I know where to look for reports in that state, and I know where to look for reports for this state. And that. Not anymore. They're all over the place. They're everything. People are seeing stuff everywhere. Weird lights in the sky. Things caught on a thermal camera that disappear. Things don't disappear from a thermal camera. I mean, once the heat signature is in the camera sees the heat signature, and then all of a sudden it just vanishes. That just don't happen. So what is that? Caves right now are becoming a real go-to. We're going to hit a couple of them here in Pennsylvania, but people reports of in Western Pennsylvania was the last one that we investigated, and we actually went out there, where a guy had it's like a walking path in a park. Like, the park sits down below, and then this walking path kind of goes up the hill a little bit. But at the top of the hill, there's an old mine, and it's an old mine cave that was started but never finished. So it only goes back about 35, 40 yards. And he was walking up the trail to go, just walk up. It doesn't go anywhere. It just turns around. You go back down the hill. Not like it takes you anywhere. You get to the top, there's the cave. But he got about 3/4 of the way up, and he said just, a giant red ball that he said was like a real large beach ball, like a 3-foot circumference ball. And he said it looked like the interior was like a lava lamp, but instead of having those big globs, it was really fine hair-like globs of different colors floating around in it. It came out of the cave, almost slowed down to a stop, and then shot straight up. So I said, well, I'm thinking to myself, proving that's going to be a real trip. He had a picture. I have the picture. I don't know what it is. 6 months after that, I got an identical report in Idaho. 3 months after that, I got a report of that same thing in Washington State. And that was on, that made TV, all kind of places picked that one up, because it came out of a field, came up a street, went right by a guy who was cutting his grass. He got sick for a few days afterwards. They tested his clothing; it was radioactive. It latched itself onto a electric pole, and just broke away from the electric pole and went down into a sewer grate. And that was it.
A sewer grate.
Yep, but there were
How the heck?
9 witnesses. 9. 9.
How does it even fit in there?
Well, they're just, it just went right into it. It was not like it had to squeeze or anything like that. They're just slotted grates. So he said, yeah, it just broke away from the pole and, went across the street to that grate and just went right down in the grate. And he said, that was it. The
That is so weird.
Fire department was the ones that came out and actually tested him for radiation. And he was irradiated. That's why he was sick.
Wow.
Dogs in the neighborhood that you never heard. He said, all the years I live here, I've never heard a dog bark. Ever. He said, everybody here has a dog. They'll stand at the window and stare at you as you walk up and down, or you're outside talking, and he has a dog on a leash out during the daytime, a German Shepherd. He said, that dog doesn't bark at anything. He said, if a burglar broke in, that dog would open the door. And he said, dogs went nuts. He said, for like an hour, they just went crazy. Every dog in the neighborhood was barking. But he said, when it came up the street, it was actually following the street. So if the street had a little hump in it or like this, it kept that same distance off the street and followed the hump and, back up. And it went right past him. He said, I could have reached out and touched it. And I said, well, I'm pretty glad you didn't do that. But what are you going to do? I mean, there's so many things and can you imagine the stuff that gets not reported? Can you even think about the reports that don't come reported? I can't imagine, especially up in your area or in other parts of Canada where they have a lot of reports of things, Bigfoot and, weird animals they see in the woods. You would think you'd get a report every 20 minutes. No, you don't.
I think the reason why is because, Butch, we have a lot of people who are making their livelihoods or their income off of the natural resources out here. And they don't want to risk anything.
Yeah.
That is a big one. And what I mean by that, for people who don't know, is, look, it's real simple. If you find Bigfoot and you go report your Bigfoot sightings in your forest where your company is logging, and let's say the creature is found to be there, they will shut down the entire area. I heard that from a government official. That if Sasquatch is ever proven, they got to shut down the entire area because they have to figure out the habitat. Where does it sleep? What does it eat? What's its habitual routes? Where is it walking to or running? And that takes years of study. And when you have some of these companies who get a logging permit where literally millions of dollars is on the line for that one area, they're going to shut up. Do you want your $100,000 paycheck? Or even like the low grade loggers, they're making $70,000, $80,000 a year up here. Or do you want to maybe put your job in jeopardy because they're going to shut down hundreds of square kilometers of land in order to try and figure out what this creature is all about? This is the tough part.
Yeah, and there's ongoing research up in that area all the time. Not by anybody, any group or anything like that. It's usually just, one or two guys that have been following up on something or following a report that maybe a family member made years prior. But, the one that always kills me is when people at a conference say, well, how can it hide so long? And I'm going like, have you ever been to Canada? Have you ever been to Washington or Oregon? And I said, you have no idea the kind of land that's out there that nobody goes to. There's no roads. There's no trails. I mean, it's just woodland, thick as beans all the way from hundreds of miles in any direction. And the one that I wanted to bring an update on. Remember we talked about the older woman that was mauled down in North Carolina?
Yes.
They officially made it a cold case 2 days ago.
Really? So
Yep.
for people who may not be familiar with that case, let's go back a year and fill it in, because we even have to go before that, where with the little boy who went missing.
Right. Well, the lady, elderly lady, was walking her dogs on her way to church. Before she'd go to church, she walked the dogs, and it's not a heavily wooded area. It's not a residential area by any means, and she didn't show up to church, so they sent people out to look for her, and they found her in a ditch in a small creek, only a couple inches deep. She was shredded, just ripped apart. She was still breathing when they got there, but by the time they got to the hospital, she passed. And the first thing they looked at were her two dogs, and they tested them, and they had no blood or anything on them or any DNA of hers. They attributed the attack to a large animal, but in that particular part of the country, in North Carolina, they don't have, especially in that area, they don't have wolves, for number one. They don't have mountain lions, that's number two. And if you wanted to see a bear, you'd have to go beyond that area where people live and go north and west to the wooded areas, because that area she was in is basically residential. I mean, the homes, they sit on an acre or two. They're not next door to each other, but they took DNA, blood samples from her, everything they could gather, and they came up with an unknown canine. So didn't match wolf, didn't match dog, but it did match canine. So now, what kind of canine are we talking about? For a year, I mean, not only the Sheriffs Department, but they had the FBI, they had a couple private companies offer their services as far as DNA research. They did environmental DNA in the creek. Nothing. Can't come up with anything. They have no idea what killed that woman. None. And 2 days ago, they officially put it on as a cold case. Sad, but. And the autopsy, the pieces of the autopsy report that they let out said that they just, whatever it was strong. I mean, it didn't take out a rib or anything like that. It took the whole side out. Shoulder was missing, head was opened up. It was just, she was a mess. When they say she was still alive when they got there, that just amazed me. I'm like, wow, tough old broad. But, and then, everything they've tried. I mean, people were actually sending the money to the police department, the sheriff's department, to hire people to find out what happened, because, they didn't have that in their budget. It's just a little sheriff's department. It's not one to state patrol or anything like that. And nothing. They come up with zero. They have no idea what killed that woman. None. Not even close. All they have is unknown canine.
Do you think it was a dog man, or do you think it was a Sasquatch or a pack of wild dogs? What do you think?
Well, there was no, as far as tracks around, the only tracks around that they found were her dogs, two dogs. And they were both mutts. They weren't anything, like Rottweilers or anything like that. They were just, they found no other tracks or even the environmental DNA, because she was in the creek, and pieces of her were in the creek, so it had her in the creek. And they did an environmental DNA test, and they got nothing out of that. And it's just, it makes me crazy, because I keep thinking, well, there's got to be something there. I mean, there's got to be hair, maybe a broken claw, something, anything, but nothing, not a thing. They don't have anything. And you know, the poor sheriff, I mean, he got, when he made that announcement 2 days ago, he said, I feel like a fool because this happened. And he said, I have nothing to say. We don't know. We don't know what attacked this woman. Dogman has been brought up, but Dogman reports in that area are zero. That doesn't mean they're not there. It just means that the reports are zero. Her dogs were not injured. She had no, they tested the dogs, you know, swabbed their mouth and stuff for blood and whatever. Nothing. It had nothing to do with her dogs had nothing to do with the DNA. And, you know, none of her DNA was in with the dogs. And now, one of the things they do have down there are panthers, but he said DNA would have picked that up immediately because that's not in the canine family. So what they came up with was just an unknown canine, which would have been very strong for the damage it did to her. Made it almost tore her leg off. So
here's the point that I find quite strange about that case, Butch, is if it's a bear, if it's a cougar, if it's another pack of dogs, they're attacking her dogs that are probably going to try and protect her from attack and the screams. Yet those dogs of hers showed no markings of anything, no attacks, no nothing. So this is what baffles me here.
Yeah. Her dogs had nothing to do with it. I mean, they kept it. They sent the dogs off to some veterinarian. They X-rayed them to see if there are any human parts in them. They kept their scat and stuff to see if there was anything in there. They swabbed their mouths and tongues and did all kind of X-rays, and they did everything they could to those poor dogs, and nothing. There was no connection to those dogs and that murder, none. But it's just like the one sheriff's deputy said. He said, I have no idea at this point. This is the very beginning of the investigation. He said, I have no idea. He said, but whatever it was strong, real strong. I mean, it pulled her off the trail. I mean, you can see where she actually fell over and was dragged. And no bear DNA, no mountain lion or panther DNA, no wolf DNA. Nothing. That's a closed case. It's a cold case, not closed, but cold. And the little boy, that case is still open. They have no idea. They're actually waiting for the kid to get a little older.
Is he still talking about it? Because I know you have inquired.
Yes, he is. He's still talking about it. He was protected by a teddy bear.
And he'd be what, 4 now?
Actually 5. Yeah, he'll be 5. Still talks about it.
That story, when we come back, let's reintroduce our audience to it, because there's a lot of people out there who probably do not remember, Butch, the story that we are talking about. And I think it's important. I mean, coming off the lady, this story with the little boy happened just, I think, about a month previous to this lady being attacked and killed strangely in North Carolina.
And in the next county.
And in the next county over. That's right. Butch, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Butch Witkowski's Strange Days happens at the end of each month, where we kind of hang out and talk about the strange cases from around North America. If it's a dogman, if it's a Bigfoot, a Thunderbird, a UFO, or a ghost, or everything in between, we will bring it up with Butch Witkowski on Strange Days. We'll be back with more of Butch right after this. All right, we're clear.
Okay. Yeah, I would have thought by now they would have had something on that lady, but nada. Bizarre.
Totally bizarre.
Mm-hmm. Thought you gave up lipstick.
I did, but you know, I mean, got to keep my lips moist. It's the way it goes, man. I'm sorry. Just the way it goes.
Oh my God.
God, I haven't even marked this. Normally I try and put this up on Twitter. I haven't even done that yet. Son of a gun. Anyways, I want to clarify something that I said in the last half-hour break, okay? You know, there's a lot of people who listen to a lot of different shows, and one in particular that is continually insulting me, insulting our brand and everything like that. I really don't care if you listen to that show or not. It's great entertainment. The host is a very, very good host when he's not talking smack about people. But I will say this, you know, I have a lot of friends. I do not tune into that show anymore. I cannot, will not support it. But we have a lot of listeners who cross over to go there. And I have a lot of friends who've been listening to this radio show for a long time who listen over there as well. And when I find out that I have people insulting me in one room or our show in one room and then coming in here and are acting, oh, hey, Dave, how you doing? And great to see you. I can't wait for the show tonight, and acting all buddy with me. That's what I don't like.
Gotcha.
You know, stay away. Look, the point that I'm getting is enjoy the entertainment. Doesn't matter who you are getting your entertainment from. Enjoy the entertainment. But don't participate in the drama. All right.
A lot of people thrive on drama. I mean, that's their whole life.
Yeah. Very much so. And, you know, I have no ill will towards the other host. I have no ill will towards his programming. I have no ill will towards anybody in the audience. The only thing I don't like is I don't like two-faced people insulting me in one room and then coming in here and acting all buddy with me. That's not fair. And that's my only issue. All right. Not trying to be a dick or a drama queen or anything like that. All right. I'm just saying that I would appreciate that if you're going to listen to this show and you're going to be supporting someone who trolls me pretty hard recently, and that if you're going to be insulting me on one point, it always gets back. It always gets back. I just don't think that's fair. That's all I'm going to say. And, you know, listen to whom you want. There's good programming over there. All right. Pretty smart dude over there. When his head's on straight. That's all I'll say. So I'm just going to grind my teeth and shut up from there, because I'm a little bit I don't like that stuff. And you know, I don't block people. I try not to block people. Tonight was a different story because we had to block a bunch of people. I try not to block people because everybody's allowed an opinion. You're allowed to listen to whomever you want to listen to, you know, and the big thing is, you know, that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. Listen to whom you want. It's entertaining. There's good programming over there. I've never said that. I will never insult the programming, right? Some things I don't understand, but It is what it is, but just don't come in here and act all buddy-buddy if you're insulting me in another room. That's all I'm asking. All right. Thank you to all our super chatters as we're going to kick off the next half hour here. Wow. What a night to get over anxiety. We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for tuning us in. I'm so proud to be broadcasting to all of you each and every night right here on our YouTube channel, on our Spaced Out Radio network, wherever you are broadcasting and listening to. Hey, why not? Just join the family. It's all good. It's all in fun. So just get in the woo and try to love someone. Yes, thank you, Kid Rock. All right, we want to remind you that all of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight with Butch Witkowski's Strange Days. We are kicking butt, taking names here for Big Bad Butch as he comes in at the bottom of each month to talk about the weird and strange Butch. We haven't really got into a lot of UFOs tonight, but, I mean, kicking back from the outside looking in, you're a guy who kind of studies from the background. What do you think of all this UFO news that's coming on?
I think it's great. I mean, some of that stuff, nobody had ever thought they'd ever see or anybody would put it out. But I don't know who I would thank for that, but at least they put it out. And it caught a lot of attention. I mean, for many years, you mentioned UFOs. That was the giggle factor. Everybody go, ha, 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 ha. You're crazy. Have a nice life. But stuff comes out. Video, pictures. It seems to me like people that were afraid to mention stuff like that in the past are now willing to come forward and talk about their experiences or their what they've seen. Some of the stuff goes way back, but a lot of this stuff is, within the last couple of years. A lot of stuff coming from truck drivers. Strange lights they see, usually when they're out in real deep southwest like Arizona, New Mexico, way south, where they can see for miles and miles and miles, and they're reporting strange lights in the sky or strange craft or that kind of stuff. So I don't know. It's just like, I think I still say a lot of it has to do with people being home. For all over this COVID thing, where they had nothing to do, no place to go. So they either found something that interests them to read, or, they saw something that they followed up on and made a report.
Right. You know what? But let's continue on with the UFO thing here momentarily. But I completely forgot during the break, and I had it written down about the young boy.
Yeah.
And the teddy bear.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go back into the cryptid world in North America or in North Carolina for just a couple of moments.
Sure. What happened was a 3-year-old boy stepped out of the house, pretty much no shoes, no socks, no winter clothing. It was very cold. Matter of fact, it got down to freezing that night. Of course, search parties went out. Everybody was looking for him. They couldn't find him for, I forget how many days now.
2 days.
2 days. And they finally found him in a pack of briar bushes that they had to cut into. They couldn't even walk in. They had to cut into him to get him out. He was in good shape. He suffered no thermal injuries. And when they got him to the hospital, he was fine. And then they started talking to him, questioning, and all he kept saying was, a teddy bear took care of him. He didn't get cold because a teddy bear took care of him. Now, I don't know how much folks realize about a bear, but you alone and a bear in the woods usually turns out to be lunch, especially a child that size. If it was a bear, he would have been an hors d'oeuvre. And he stuck to that story. The story did not change. He did not change that story one iota. Just kept saying that the teddy bear took care of him, kept him warm. And I'm going like, wow.
There was no bite marks on his jacket.
Nope.
There was no, outside of the briar patches, the thistles there
Right.
was no cuts or bruising on him. The area where this little boy was, they had checked the area previously, and he was not there.
Oh.
And then all of a sudden they heard him crying from in between this briar patch.
Yeah.
I mean, are there Sasquatch sightings down there? Because, look, I know my area, and the one thing that I've been taught, growing up here in the middle of nowhere, British Columbia, is the fact that bears are dangerous at the best of times, but when they wake up during hibernation season, which this took place, they are angry, they are hungry, and they will rip apart anything within their distance because they're just cranky. They're very cranky. They are Butch Witkowski on a good day. Okay. And this is what I find very interesting about this entire case, that the boy keeps on saying teddy bear.
Yeah. And there had been reports in the lower part of the county where the boy was. There had been reports in the upper part of that same county and the next county over, going west, of alleged Bigfoot reports. But they were years old. They were nothing up to date or even close to when this happened with the boy. And I mean, everybody I've talked to said, bear? No way. No way. Bear would have ate that kid in a heartbeat. And I mean, it's amazing. You know, whenever I hear the story or I tell the story, something always comes into my head: the gentle giant of the woods, the protector. I have yet to find a report that's credible of a Bigfoot attack. Scare you, throw rocks at you maybe, or a tree length branch or something like that. But I've found no reports of anybody being ripped apart or beat to death or anything like that, or eaten. And it kind of makes me a little upset when I read a researcher that puts in there that, they survived by eating humans. That's crap. I don't buy that at all. But that case is strange. And I agree. If I had to put my finger on a culprit that took care of that kid, I would probably say Bigfoot first. I can't think of anything else that would do it. Surely it wasn't a wolf. And, until this day, the kid keeps saying teddy bear. So
the only interesting part about that is the boy was in his yard with his siblings.
Mm-hmm.
So, excuse me, I got a frog in my throat.
You shouldn't eat frogs.
So, I mean, whatever this was, took him from his yard.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't harm him.
Nope.
Fed him. Kept him warm in the middle of whatever the temperatures get to in winter in North Carolina.
That particular day, the particular 2 days, it was down in the mid-30s.
Right. So, I mean, when you got that, and that is happening, do you think that the creature or whatever it was didn't bring him back to his property because there were search people all over the place?
Yeah, that's kind of what pretty much everybody figured out, that they left whatever it was, left him where he was because there were guys all over the place, and I'm sure they were all carrying guns like they always do down there. But it's just bizarre. I mean, that's. And then when the kid says, when he's asked, how he was doing, how he took care of himself, and all this and that, his own dog couldn't find him. They had his dog out looking for him, and the dog couldn't find him. But he kept saying the same thing over and over and over. A teddy bear. Teddy bear took care of him.
I don't understand that story.
No, I don't either. And I think there was like 4 or 5 people that questioned him from a local zoo and a vet's office as to describe, Now, I don't know if they had showed him any pictures or anything like that or drawings, but I know he was talked to quite a long time, interviewed. Kept saying the same thing throughout the whole interview. Teddy bear. Wow. Hey, I'm just glad the kid's alive. The kid.
Why do you think this kid didn't die?
Did what?
Why don't you think this kid died? Why do you think he survived?
Boy, that's a good question. Well, whatever was taking care of him wasn't there to kill him. It was there to protect him. And he did. And, they really went where the boy was. They went over that whole area, and they found nothing, no fur or anything like that. And it's just like the one police officer said. He said, well, it doesn't mean that he was here that whole time. He might have been someplace else. And then put there because the searchers they were real close to that briar patch. But he wasn't in the briar patch when they looked. And then, the second day, that's where he's found.
Just amazes me.
Yeah, that's quite a story.
No frostbite.
Nope. No bruises, no scratches, nothing. Wasn't hungry. Wasn't cold. Nothing.
I still get weirded out by that one.
That is a weird one.
Yeah. Well, let's get back to UFOs here, because UFOs are the soup du jour, the soup of the month. It's becoming a hot button topic. Doesn't matter whether you've ever been into ufology or you've never seen Close Encounters of the Third Kind. There are people very, very ensconced in this entire conversation right now. And this is a conversation that is starting to happen not only in the United States, but around the world. Australia, Canada, the United Kingdom, Germany. It is all over the place. People want to know what's going on. Butch, we have talked about this story ad nauseum over the last few years, but it is one that just won't go away. From the people you've talked to and the research that you're doing right now, why now? Why is it all of a sudden important to get this information out there after 70 years of ridicule?
I think a lot had to do with the people that were telling the story. All the TV shows or news shows would run pictures or stories or both of some farmer in his field that saw something, this and the other thing. Credibility was kind of iffy. Even airline pilots reporting stuff kind of iffy, because there weren't that many that would actually do that because they'd get fired. And then all of a sudden the military, everybody trusts the military. They're not going to lie. And then they come up with these gun camera pictures, and you can hear them talking back and forth about how fast they're going, and did you see that, and look what it's doing, and it's rolling off, and they're all saying the same thing. What is it? I don't know what that is. So, I think that statement by pilots, combat pilots, and people on ships I don't know what that is, really threw a wrench into the gears and stopped it. And people are starting to go like, well, if they don't know what it is and they're pretty much trained observers, what are we dealing with here? And a lot of it's going to depend, if the government comes out and puts out a bunch of BS, we'll be right back where we started. But now you got Obama. He made statements recently about them. Of course, you got Jimmy Carter. I mean, a lot of people, but they were just blown off like it was no big deal. But now you have all these combat pilots. You have guys on ships. You have submarines under the sea. I mean, they're all not getting together and making up a big story. What they're seeing is what they're seeing. Even the Russian government, I forget where it was, their Vladivostok base, which is basically submarines and their battle cruisers and stuff. They had reports from the ships where they were followed or they were buzzed. They're just cruising along, going out to wherever they're going. And all of a sudden, something swoops and gets real close to the ship. And it happened so fast that by the time the guy on their radar screen saw it coming, it was gone already. So, that kind of confirms the speed of these things. I mean, I've seen them already go from horizon to horizon. It was like 2 blinks of an eye and they were gone. I mean, it's just, there's just no way that this was going to be covered up forever. It had to break. And I think there's a lot of other things that are going to break. Like, there's a little thing going on right now, and I really don't know a lot about it. But there's a whistleblower, evidently or supposedly, on the government's knowledge of Bigfoot. So we'll see where that's new. We'll see. Yeah. And matter of fact, it has to do with a forest fire where one was found wounded, burned. And the military came and they treated it. They actually treated it, and then got it in out of the area and took it somewhere. It wasn't burned real bad, but it was burned enough that it was pretty much incapacitated. So that's. I mean, the story's been around a little while, but it was confirmed by some colonel from, I think it was Washington State National Guard or Oregon State National Guard. And he said, I know what happened. I was there. He said, we loaded him into a 2.5 and got him off the mountain and got him into a place where we could treat him, and then got him to one of the bases close by, and he was treated for burns, 2nd and 3rd degree.
Wow.
Yeah. So that story has just been going around now for about the last 6 months, where the couple of people that were involved in that rescue, I guess you would call it, are going to spill the beans. Now, if they all turn up dead, we'll know that it's a true story. But it's amazing. Look, there's a lot of stuff this government does, or all governments. They've been doing it from day one. We don't know everything. They try to shut you down. When I was involved in human mutilation cases, they tried to shut me down. A guy that did it before me, they shut him down. He actually quit altogether. He didn't do anything anymore. But there's stuff out there. I think it's going to pop soon, and it's going to be amazing what we're going to find out. I just truly believe that.
I can understand the government's cover up of UFOs.
Yeah.
To me, that makes sense. We got 5 minutes to go here, Butch, before we have to go to break at the top of the hour. What I don't understand is the idea that Bigfoot has been covered up. And what's the purpose of that?
I don't think they need purpose. I just think that, when it's just like UFOs. If UFOs comes out that they've been around for thousands and thousands of years. They predate religion. They predate all these old amounts of people in different parts of the world and how they got here, where they came from, or how they mingled, Neanderthal with Bigfoot back and forth, or this is a Neanderthal. Things will change. I mean, people are going to question religion. They're going to question science. I mean, they're just going to question everything because, they can only lie so long. And somewhere along the line, it always comes out. Now, if they don't get to you and kill you, and the story really gets out and people are watching you, putting you on TV and stuff like that, they're not going to do that. But you look how many people were involved in ufology that were killed, murdered. One guy said to me, well, how many? I said, go Google, they're killing our researchers. Just Google that. It's like pages and pages and pages. And some of them are very famous researchers that, all of a sudden after a clean bill of health from a doctor on a Monday, they're dead Friday with some kind of unknown cancer. And 6 weeks after that, the wife dies of the same unknown cancer. And they were perfectly healthy. You had, I can't think of the guy's name, was thrown out the window, Naval Secretary. Forrestal. I mean, they chucked him out her window. People have been run over by trucks, shot twice in the back of the head, but they're handcuffed. That one I'm still trying to work on.
Suicide.
Yeah. But I think things are going to break open. How much they're going to break out, I have no idea. But I'm hoping that, we get an answer on these goofy things that we've been studying for eons, like Roswell and the Texas crash with the pilot that they buried and they hit the grave. And there's just the Phoenix Lights. I mean, cases in Texas, Stevensville case. I mean, a lot about them, but the stuff that you really want to know, you don't know. They don't tell you, or they just blow over that part or breeze by it. So hopefully, in the next little bit, we should hear something. That's going to be amazing. If they spill their guts, and like one guy said to me, he said, you know what? If they say that aliens walk amongst us right now, he said half the people are going to move to Canada. I said, well, what makes you think they're not in Canada? He said, I don't care. He said, they got good booze.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. I guess we're going to see. I mean, it's interesting. It's a little pain in the butt. You got to sit here and wait to see what they're going to do or what they're going to tell us. And, but if they come out with some little white paper, 2 pages long, and go like, well, there might be, or they could be, or we don't know where they're from, but come on. I mean, they got pictures of craft taken off from the moon. Photographs were taken by not only satellites, but the space station. And I don't know. I'm waiting. I'm patient about this. Because it's either going to be one or two things. We're going to get some information that we never had before, or they're going to be lying their butts off. And I'll just be screaming.
Well, I would hate to see you screaming all night long, man.
Yeah,
because I think we've only started the roller coaster ride, and we're still just going up that first hill.
Yep, we are.
And it's going to be very interesting to see where it goes from there, because we have a lot of information. We don't have a lot of answers. And those who do have the answers are somehow, some way, some why playing dumb with us.
Well,
that's my opinion. And Butch, we'll continue this talk when we come back on Spaced Out Radio. 2 hours down. We have 30 minutes left with Butch Witkowski and Strange Days. Then we get to the news wire and the thought of the day, but jam-packed hour 3 is next on Spaced Out Radio. God, I had this little horrible sip of water when I took my sip of water, and it went down just the wrong area here and just sent me into that coughing fit. I'll be right back, buddy.
How much time we got here, boss?
We got about 6 minutes.
Oh, I can get my dog out.
5 minutes. 5 minutes.
5. Okay.
All right, I am back.
There you are.
I am. All right.
Oh man, somebody's having enchiladas. Oh.
I had tacos for dinner.
Oh. I had a hoagie.
I had, I'm not going to lie, I had like 4 soft tacos today.
Oh,
I did. And I poured a shitload of hot sauce on them.
oh, if I ate that, I'd be back in the hospital.
I know. I know. I ate enough for both of us tonight, Butch.
Oh, good.
No, not Taco Bell again. These are homemade.
Homemade is always best.
Yes. Hey, I do want to remind you that one of our sponsors is Mighty Moose Beard Oil. Gary the Dutchman wants to give you a deal on the beard oil. So it works on your beard. It works on hair. Real simple. Just drop it into your hands like so. Rub it on in and just massage it in, people. Massage it in. Go to MightyMooseBeard.com. For the ladies, it works great on your hair as well. Remember, Gary the Dutchman's going to give you a deal if you use promo code SOR 2019. You don't get a deal from Dutch people ever. So go to MightyMooseBeard.com and get it today.
Yeah, I'm screwed.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. We want to say that a big hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Geomorphogeny. Geomorphogeny is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. For the final time tonight, we bring in Butch Witkowski from UFOcop.com. Strange Days happens near the end of each month, and Butch, welcome back.
Thank you, sir.
All right. UFO chatter here. We don't do a lot of it with you because you're more into the cryptid world, but we cannot surpass the fact that there is a lot of information coming out. Now, with this report that's due on June 25th, do you expect it to A, be pushed back, B, have very little to no information, maybe the odd video or two, or C, that it's going to end up with a speech saying, "My fellow Americans, we are not alone in this universe"?
I'll go with B.
Why is that?
With the way things are going, just in our country right now, you could be handing out buckets of gold and they wouldn't believe you. I think if it was C, that would be pure insanity, because everything else would stop. Everybody would want to know everything now, right now, not tomorrow, now. You tell us what's going on now. Are there extraterrestrials living amongst us? Now. How long have you been here? It's just going to go nuts. So I think they'll tell, they may say like Roswell was real, or but we didn't recover any bodies. They'll give you, you're going to get piecemeal. You'll get half of the non-interesting part of the story, and the interesting part of the story was like, did you recover bodies of alien beings at the site? No, we didn't. That was just, it was a mechanical ship. There was nobody on board. And that's what you're going to wind up with, I think, in my opinion. But I know the disclosure crowd that's been out there for many, many years, they're chomping at the bit. They're going crazy. They think everything's got to be hunky-dory and everybody's going to be happy, and we're all going to find out that our next-door neighbor is from Mars. Come to think of it, my next-door neighbor might be from Mars. But anyway, yeah, I think you're going to get a little bit more of information, but I think what they're going to do, they'll probably cover old reports, like Roswell and Stevensville and stuff like that, where they said, well, it was this, it was that. They may clarify that kind of stuff. But I don't think they're going to get down to the real nitty gritty. I really don't. I mean, their own astronauts have told them what's out there, and they basically either blew them off or made them sound like they were lying. So I guess we'll see.
You know what I don't like, Butch, is I don't like the fact that the government and the agencies, including the Navy, are playing dumb on this. Like, we didn't know this was happening. We didn't know. It just kind of came out of nowhere, and there it is.
Yeah.
Why do you think they're playing stupid like that?
Well, there's hundreds of people on a ship. And there's no way you can guarantee that every one of those guys or girls on that ship are going to keep their mouth shut. They're getting out of the Navy and they've seen something, so they figure like, I'll just tell them. And they let the story out. And it gets to the point where so many people get the story out that they can't deny it anymore. Especially when it's like a radar operator or a gunnery watch where, that's all they're doing is looking in the sky, or these pilots, especially these pilots. But you notice one thing, all these films that we've gotten recently from the pilots, combat pilots, those guys are all retired. None of them are active duty anymore. So there's really not much the Navy can say. One of the things that always bothered me a little bit was like, how did they get the film? That's like when those planes come in, they take the gun cameras off. They're under guard. They get locked up right away. It's not like they just pass it around. So some of that stuff got out, and there's really nothing they can do to stop it now. I mean, it's out there. Look at that film from the Mexican Navy where they were tracking 8 of them on infrared from one of their gunships. Mexico never denied it. They just said they didn't know what it was. Plus,
see, for me, I think it's because of the secrets. They don't want, they don't want people to know about Roswell, Kecksburg, the Phoenix Lights. And deniability is very much what it's all about. And I think the reason why we're not going to get anything out of this, Butch, is because they still need to figure out how to keep things quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just for the sake of the U.S. citizen. There's Russia, there's China, there's Japan, there's the Allies, there's everybody involved.
Yeah.
And, but it also opens up a lot of conspiracies. What if Eisenhower traded humans for technology? Does that all of a sudden come into play? Because if there's a list of Americans that they know have been abducted, that's a large list. If they know the ones that have been abducted and never returned, like you said, when the first night I ever had you on the show, and I will never forget this, this is going back 5 years, that the FBI can't find 65,000 Americans a year out of the 1.3 million that go missing annually.
We have 400 in Pennsylvania right now for this year. California has 1,400. The way it is, there's just no ifs, ands, or buts.
Well, that's the big thing. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, how many secrets does this open up, and how many do they have to remain to try and cover up?
Well, look it up in your area, the indigenous missing. I mean, somebody said one time, "Oh, it's just maybe 100 or so." No, it's not. It's in the thousands in Canada, the indigenous, and most of them. I think somebody gave a percentage one time. Most of them are female.
Very true. It also doesn't help too that a lot of that was being covered up by the Catholic Church.
Oh yeah, well yeah.
And you know, I'm just going to say this quickly on it because I haven't mentioned this, because if you haven't heard this news just south of me out of Kamloops, British Columbia, it's been absolutely sickening that at one of the residential schools that they found the bodies of 215 missing Indigenous children as young as 3 years old, killed by the priests and nuns at a Catholic school who ran the school. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
And I wish there were people still alive to prosecute that, because that's heartbreaking.
And it happened over in England. Not England, in Ireland. It was a Catholic school for pregnant women, young pregnant women, and very few of them survived their time in that place. And they were actually somebody bought the property, and they were doing ground penetrating radar to run lines and make sure that there was nothing underneath that they would have a problem with when they started digging. And they found all those graves. They're all kids, every one of them, babies, newborns. He didn't put them in a box or anything. He just wrapped them in a blanket, and that was it. Done. Never marked graves. It's just crazy. I just, for the life of me, I just cannot understand how somebody of any whatever could hurt a child. I just can't. It just never registered with me, And
in my daytime career, I have got to meet a lot of First Nations people. And I will say this, my job is so much easier when I get the privilege to work with First Nations people. I mean, I have yet to meet a First Nations person that doesn't have a beautiful soul.
Mm-hmm.
And the stories and the culture and the traditions that go along with that. I mean, we're stupid not to listen. And we're ignorant not to listen. And to hear this tragedy, like on my porch outside right now, we have our outdoor light on with some teddy bears on our porch. They've asked all Canadians to do that, and anybody who wants to participate in that, I really would appreciate if you did, to show support for those 215 lost souls. And, the fact, I mean, if you don't know the history, go online, read the history. It's thoroughly disgusting. And, God bless those children and wherever they are. And hopefully they've found peace and they've found forgiveness for our stupidity. That is, like you said, Butch, it's one thing to do it to adults. Okay, because adults have decisions to make.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they may not be the right or the best decisions. But when you are ripping children away from their families, when you are, like the RCMP did and the Canadian government did back in the day, up until the last residential school closed in the 1990s. So we're not that far away in past history. But it's this one in Kamloops where they found the 215 bodies. It shut down, I believe, in 1978. And it was Canada's largest residential school. I mean, I hope those priests and nuns who are abusing the children there get what they are coming from. If there is a God on the other side, you know, I really hope they get what was coming to them. That is for sure.
And if not, send them here. I'll take care of it.
Well, I think we have an entire country who would like to take care of that.
I just can't fathom how. I'm the same way with animals. I can't fathom how some people treat animals. And then when you're talking about a child that's, 3 years old, 2 years old, being shot, in Chicago, going into McDonald's and they get shot. The other kid the other day, they shot through the trunk of the car and it went through the kid. Last words to his mom is, my tummy hurts. That's heartbreaking. And they never seem to find the perpetrators of these things. I understand, that it's a big city and they murder more people in a day than most states do in a year. But why kids? I just don't get it. I just do not get it.
Yeah, and I hope there is people still alive and they get prosecuted for this. Because we need answers. The First Nations need answers. Our indigenous people are they're hurting. And do yourself a favor if you want to support the indigenous during this time, which I highly suggest you do. It's a very small meeting, but you know what? Small meetings can go a long way in providing healing and positive energy. Put your lights out. Put your lights on outside. Put some teddy bears out on your porch, just so those children know in spirit that they have a place to come play, a place that is safe.
I'll take care of that first thing in the morning. We're all God's children in one way or another. But when infants, and I call them infants, have their life taken from them because of some jerk off trying to save money or just trying to hide evidence of other things, it's I just like what Bomber put on here on the chat. The church hasn't said a thing yet. They're not going to say anything. They'll just act like it didn't happen. We don't know anything about that, or it's too long ago, or they'll come up with something. And I don't know. It's just disgusting.
Mm-hmm. I could honestly say, my friend, I have never been as disgusted in being a Canadian than I am right now.
I don't think I've been that disgusted as I'm a Roman Catholic.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
And this is not the first time this stuff has happened. You can go back in church history and during the Inquisition, everybody thinks, oh, they got some old geezer in there and beat him up a little bit and he told them what they wanted and they took him out and burned him. They were burning kids. Neighbors were saying, well, that little girl over there, I think she's a witch. Well, they burned her too. There was no age limit. Let's put it that way. So the Catholic Church has not been squeaky clean ever in its history. And, look what they did to the indigenous in the Amazon. They murdered them by the thousands. You either converted or you died. End of story.
I hear you. Well, my friend, we have 5 minutes left before we got to say goodnight to you. We should end on a positive note here with everything that is going on in this crazy world right now. For you, as we start to warm up here and spring is fully underway, the days are getting longer, more people are being allowed outside, and people are really trying to push their boundaries a little bit after being locked up for a year and a half. What do you see happening within the next, let's say, 5-6 months before the end of fall?
Well, I know we're going to be busy. We have a number of trips planned. I'm having all the investigators, all my guys here at the house in July. we're going to be heading back to a couple, well, where we had our first bipedal reports. We're going to be heading back up to Clearfield. We found some caves in that area that we didn't know were there before. They were down by the dam. We didn't get down that area. But we've got about 8 field trips we got planned. So it's going to be interesting because we're going to try some different things now. As far as, we overlook caves and we overlook waterways and stuff like that. So we're gonna see what's going on there, and there's a lot of old buildings we'd like to check out, and they're fairly close, so we could hit a couple in a day, and then camp overnight and then hit a few more. But and these are areas where there are those type of reports, so it's going to be fun to get out back in the field. So I know I'm ready. My guys are ready. We may even wind up in your area. Who knows? Never know.
You should. You
Never
should
know.
end up. I mean, why not? A lot of strangeness happening up here.
Yeah, I heard you can put that beard oil on French fries.
Pretty much. Pretty much. MightyMooseBeard.com. We'll just throw that out there right off the bat. But, with 3 minutes left, I mean, you're preparing your team. How do you prepare for your excursions?
Gathering up reports that are pertinent to that particular area, mapping, of course, looking for places where we can camp or get a room close by. It's pretty much logistics at that point until you get there, and then it's till you set everything up and start walking around and sending teams out. It takes time. It takes more time to set it up and drive than it does to actually do what you're doing.
How many vehicles do you have for your research, for your team?
3.
What's in them?
Transit, an Explorer, and 2 Explorers. What's in it? Name it. We have everything in there. Everything from trauma kits to private radio system, satellite communications, satellite phones, all kind of evidence gathering materials. There's nothing we can't go on that's not in that truck. I mean, there's archaeological stuff in there if we want to take some samples of dirt, or we have DNA test kits. I mean, everything. Food. We can go out for 7 days and not leave the truck and be fine.
Wow.
Generator, walkie-talkies that are good for 40 miles. I mean, we're not using like the Motorola you buy at the Walmart. These are regular radios, same that police use. We have monitors, air monitors, ground monitors, cameras up the yin-yang, thermal devices, night vision, pretty much everything. Sound devices, listening devices. Everything.
How can people get a hold of you if they have a sighting or any questions? We got about a minute left.
They can go to Phantoms and Monsters and just scroll down until you see the logo for UFO Research Center, Pennsylvania. Click on that, gives you my email address. On Facebook, you can get my email address under Butch Witkowski and my phone number, or you can get under UFO Research Center, Pennsylvania, under U4COP. There's another page, so there's like 4 pages. So not hard to get a hold of. Or they can call you and you can put me on TV.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. So yeah. That report's coming out Thursday?
I think she said Thursday, yeah.
That's kind of cool. That's very kind of cool. So we'll get to see Uncle Butch on in the East Coast on Fox News, I think channel 56 there. In southern New Jersey, Pennsylvania area. Butch Witkowski's Strange Days wraps up for another month. We'll talk to Butch at the end of next month. Coming up next, we have the SOR Newswire. We have this Thought of the Dave. And a lot more coming up next on Spaced Out Radio. job, Butch.
Okay, man. Take care.
You too, my friend.
Stay out of trouble. You need bail money, give me a call.
Will do. Take
See
care.
you. Bye.
Good night. All right, that's Uncle Butch, everybody. Uncle Butch. Let's see here. And of course, you're going to do that. Give me 2 seconds here, guys. All right. All right, there we go. Now we're all set. The Ronald Penton is here, everyone. The Ronald Penton. Thank you, the Ronald Penton. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Oh, hey, Clam. Oob to Joe's Maine. You've got aliens. Big Bad Gary. P3 Productions. There he is. Give everybody a wave, Gary. I agree there, Fapster. Oob to Joe's Maine. You've got aliens. Just so many of you understand, oob backwards is boo. Joe used to come into the chat room, and his first word used to be boo. So I changed it one time to oob, and oob stuck. Just the way it is. Oh, shoot. I accidentally closed that. Tweeter. Let me go here. All right. There we go. That's all set up. Thank you to our super chatters tonight. Really do appreciate the love. And thank you for a great month. And here we go with the third hour. We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for hanging on out with us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you've missed most of this show or others, please check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Speaking of the news, the news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show, where we get to the weird, the strange, the wacky, and sometimes the absolute disgusting. The gruesome discovery took decades, and for some survivors of the Kamloops, British Columbia Indian Residential School in Canada, the confirmation that children as young as 3 were buried on school grounds crystallizes the sorrow that they have carried all of their lives. I lost my heart. It was so much hurt and pain to finally hear for the outside world, to finally hear what we assumed was happening there, said Harvey McLeod, who attended the school for 2 years in the late 1960s. The story is so unreal that yesterday became real for a lot of us in this community. The community of the First Nations, Tekamlumps, I'm going to butcher this, and I apologize to our Indigenous followers. It's in the southern interior. Literally, Kamloops is about a 2-hour drive south of me, and it's the next major city near me. And the school was located there, and the First Nations community there said it was an unthinkable loss that was spoken about but never documented. And it's confirmed. This past weekend, with the help of a ground-penetrating radar specialist, the stark truth of the preliminary findings came to light. The confirmation of the remains of 215 children who were students of the Kamloops Indian Residential School, said Chief Roseanne Casimir. To our knowledge, these missing children are undocumented deaths, she said in a statement. For decades, McLeod says he and former students like him would wonder what happened to friends and classmates. Sometimes people didn't come back. We were happy for them. We thought they ran away, not knowing if they did or whatever happened to them, said McLeod, who now serves as chief of British Columbia's Upper Nicola Band. There were discussions that this may have happened, that they may have passed, he said. What I realized yesterday was how strong I was as a little boy, how strong I was to be here today, because I know that a lot of people didn't go home. The Kamloops Indian Residential School was one of the largest in Canada and operated from the late 19th century to the late 1970s. It was open and run by the Catholic Church until the federal government took it over in the late 1960s. It's closed permanently about a decade later and now houses a museum and a community facility with both cultural and memorial events. Community leaders say the investigation will continue in conjunction with the British Columbia Coroner's Office, and the community and government officials will ensure the remains are safeguarded and identified. Chief Coroner Lisa Lapointe issued a statement saying that her office is early in the process of gathering information. We recognize the tragic, heartbreaking devastation that the Canadian residential school system has inflicted upon so many, and our thoughts are with all of those who are mourning today, she said. In 2015, Canada's Truth and Reconciliation Commission released a report detailing the damaging legacy of the country's residential school system. Thousands of mostly Indigenous children were separated from their families and forced to attend residential schools. The report detailed decades of physical, sexual, and emotional abuse suffered by children in government and church-run institutions. Now, if you want to support this cause and you don't know how, you can do what I did and what many are doing. Leave your outside lights on. Put some teddy bears out on those steps, because those children may just need a toy to play with from the other side. Let's wish them Godspeed on the other side and hope that they can find forgiveness for us. That's a tough one. Stanton Friedman dreamed of starting a UFO museum in Fredericton, New Brunswick, and now that dream isn't too far away, even though the legendary UFO researcher had been passed away since 2019. The Fredericton Regional Museum is putting together the Stanton Friedman is Out of This World exhibit to highlight his career as a famed UFO researcher. This exhibit is to honor Stanton in every way possible, said Hal Scarup, vice president of the Fredericton Regional Museum. A nuclear physicist by training, Friedman devoted his life to researching and investigating UFO beginning in the late 1960s. Friedman was credited with bringing the 1947 Roswell incident, the famous incident that gave rise to theories about UFOs and a U.S. military cover-up, back to the mainstream conversation. How many people from Fredericton had their obituary in the New York Times? How many people from Fredericton became characters in a Betty and Veronica comic book? Not too darn many, said Melinda Jarrett, executive director of the Fredericton Region Museum. Friedman was an accomplished writer, published dozens of papers about UFOs, and writing or co-writing several books. He was familiar face in documentaries and made multiple appearances on Larry King Live. He also lectured about UFOs for hundreds of colleges and professional groups across the United States, Canada, and other countries. Friedman was inducted into the UFO Hall of Fame in Roswell, New Mexico. The guy was famous, Jarrett said. He's a cultural icon, and he's from Fredericton. Jarrett knew Friedman personally. She said he was an honorable man who had an incredible life. He deserves to be treated with the respect from the awesome and most extraordinary work he did in researching the UFO experience. Friedman's exhibit is set to open June 26th and pay tribute to the local researcher's work. It's a fact he did this work, and there's a huge following, whether you believe in UFOs or not. My first ever interview with Stanton Friedman, I actually did it on a pre-record, and I had to restart it because I was so nervous. It was like interviewing Wayne Gretzky again. I remember I stopped the tape and I said, I can't believe I got Stanton effing Friedman on the show. And he started laughing in that gruff voice, and he says, well, Dave, I do put on my pants one leg at a time, just like you. And I was like, all right, now we can do this. Now we can do this. If humans are truly going to become interplanetary settlers, we're going to need to have access to water, a lot of it. But loading it into a rocket would be heavy, and trying to escape Earth's gravity with all that weight would be costly. That's why space agencies such as NASA and European Space Agency, as well as planetary geologists, have been looking for sources of water on Mars. Now, it suggests that there is a unique subsurface ice feature in a location that would be optimal for future explorers of the red planet. Ideally, human colonies would be located close to the equator, where it is not only more temperate in Mars terms, but also easier for spacecraft to land and take off. Satellite observations by orbiters around Mars suggest there is an ice sheet in a flat plain called Arcadia Planitia, roughly 35 degrees north latitude. It's a site that both NASA and SpaceX are considering for future human exploration. In this new study, researchers found that it's not just an ice sheet, but a kind of shallow river of ice, similar to what we see in regions of Antarctica. When you look closer, you find a lot of characteristics that point to these being glaciers of channelized ice. But what's so odd about this is the flatline terrain, said Shannon Hibbard, lead author of the paper and a PhD candidate at Western University in London, Ontario. Typically, glaciers would be found either in valleys, gullies, or forming around the base of mountains. Instead, this is in a flat area. These types of ice flows weren't expected on Mars. But it's great news for future human Martians. We want to basically land as low or as close to the equator as we can. And Arcadia Planitia is pretty dang close, Hibbert says. It's also promising, she said, because the evidence of a massive ice reserve is in a relatively flat area, and we want to land somewhere flat and boring because that's the safest place to land. Interesting. The use of chemical fumigants, in agriculture have been demonstrated to be harmful to human health and the environment, therefore banned from use. Now, in an effort to reduce waste from the agriculture industry and reduce the amounts of harmful chemicals used, researchers have investigated the use of organic byproducts from beer production and farming as a potential method to disinfest soils, preserve healthy soil microorganisms, and increase crop yields. In a study published to Frontiers in Sustainable Food Systems, researchers from the Naker Basque Institute for Agriculture Research in Spain investigated using agricultural byproducts, rapeseed cake, and beer grains, along with fresh cow manure, as 2 organic biodisinfestation treatments. The lead author, Mate Gandarisbecia, says rapeseed cake and beer bagasse are 2 potential organic treatments which shown they have really positive results in previous studies. Their high nitrogen content promotes the activity of beneficial microorganisms in the soil, which helps break down organic matter like manure and kill off nematodes and other parasites which damage crops. Yeah, the gentleman says that nematodes can be negatively impacting crop yields. Root knot nematodes are the type of common soil parasite which penetrate a plant's root tissue to lay their eggs, and this activity causes galls or knot-like swellings form in the root. Either way, beer is going to be helping once again. Beer. All right, moving on. Too many nematodes in that story. The song of the humpback whales as they swim off the shore of New York has been recorded for the first time by a series of underwater microphones, scientists claim. The discovery involves scouring through thousands of hours of audio data for signs of whale calls, explained Julia Zay, a doctoral student at Syracuse University who completed the work as an undergraduate at Columbia. Underwater sound recording equipment that sits on the waters near New York helped them discover the whales have been swimming into the New York Bight. They were there during the winter and spring when the whales are normally in the warmer Caribbean region for mating season, explained Zay. The team can't exactly say why there has been an increase in humpback sightings in the winter months in New York, but predict that they are either turning the area into a mating ground or young males remain behind as they aren't old enough to breed. As part of the researcher of the team analyzed 6,305 hours of audio recordings captured by microphones on the seafloor 70 miles south of Long Island. They were captured between 2009 and 2019, but the data was only recently studied specifically for signs of humpback whales in the New York Bight, or the Bight, pardon me. And all of a sudden, there they were in the background. It starts kind of quiet, then it gets louder. She says, I was so excited to hear it. I would be too, actually. It's kind of unusual to hear humpback whales singing so far north, as well as outside of their normal mating season during fall and winter, when they are usually found in warmer Caribbean-type climates. This study benefited from acoustic recordings sitting on the ocean floor year-round, providing an opportunity to detect whales even when they might not be spotted during visual surveys. The study authors say that having alternate methods to spot whales can aid future conservation efforts and protect the giant bus-like marine mammals as they venture into one of the busiest waterways in the world. The more we know about how and when whales use these areas, the more we can make informed decisions on how to better protect them, said Howard Rosenbaum of the Wildlife Conservation Society in New York. Whales that venture into New York waters spend most of their year in the North Atlantic, but head south for the winter, roosting in the Caribbean, where they sing and breed in tropical waters. It was thought that the waters in New York were a mere thoroughfare for migration, but recent sightings in these audio recordings show that they are spending more of their year in colder waters. Researchers predict that this may be part due to climate change, with the whales adapting to warming waterways. Either way, God, I love whales. They're just gorgeous. They really are. You know, when your mom says, if your friends jumped off a cliff, would you as well? Well, this kind of falls into that category. You really shouldn't attempt something just because you saw someone do it on the internet. Then all too real chances that you're going to end up in hospital are pretty good, and that something horrible is going to go wrong. All right? It's a grim reminder of the fact 13-year-old Destiny Crane from Portland, Oregon is the latest victim of this. She was rushed to intensive care, accidentally setting herself on fire, attempting to recreate a stunt she saw on TikTok. On May 13th, Destiny's mother, Kimberly, was chatting with her mother in the Crane's living room. Her daughter, together with one of her friends, was doing something in the bathroom. Suddenly, there was screaming. Kimberly rushed to the bathroom to witness one of the most horrendous sights of her life. Everything was on fire. Destiny was on fire. Things in the bathroom were on fire. It was unreal, heartbreaking. I don't think anyone wants to see their daughter on fire. It was horrible, the mother said. Mrs. Crane pulled her daughter outside, managed to wrangle off her still burning shirt. Meanwhile, a neighbor called 911 for help. Emergency responders from Portland's Fire and Rescue sped Destiny to hospital. She survived, but not unscathed. The girl suffered serious burns to her neck and right arm. Doctors have performed a tracheotomy on her so she could breathe, and they are now skin grafting all of her burnt areas. Despite all, it will most likely be months before Destiny regains mobility in her neck, arm, and fingers. That is just going to be a lifelong thing of her doing physical therapy to keep her mobility, Mrs. Crane said. So how did this happen? Destiny hasn't been able to speak since the accident, but it's pretty clear of how the events proceeded. First clue comes from Destiny's sister, Andrea. She said that Destiny's friend kept screaming about how they were filming TikToks while Destiny was on fire. Second, there were some items in the bathroom that clarify the situation further. There was a cap bottle of rubbing alcohol sitting on the counter, and the whole side of it had busted open, and there was a lighter and a broken candle. Then there was Destiny's phone on which she had been recording a video. The recording never stopped, even as the bottle of alcohol exploded in the poorly ventilated bathroom. Finally, her daughter lived for TikTok. Ms. Crane and Andrea concluded that the Destiny and her friend had been trying to recreate a TikTok video that had been making the rounds lately. In it, a man sprays a figure on the bathroom mirror with hairspray before lighting it on fire. Yes, that's just horrible. Horrible. And finally tonight, I love this story. You're never too old to accomplish something great in your life. An Illinois man who left college to serve in World War II returned to finish his education nearly 80 years later. Bill Gossett, who is now 97, attended Lincoln College for a short time before transferring to the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, but he ended up joining the United States Army Air Corps before finishing his degree. Gossett returned from the war and took over the family business, Gossett's Cleaners, instead of returning to school. There was always a void there, but I was busy learning to run a business. Time went by, and I finally decided to finish my degree. It was a goal of self-fulfillment, Gossett said. Gossett approached Lincoln College officials about returning to school to finish his associate's degree. In 2019, Mr. Gossett came to me and said he wanted to finish his associate's degree at Lincoln College. President David Gerlache said, after meeting with the registrar's office, we determined that Gossett could re-enroll as a reverse transfer student with prior learning assessment credits. We were inspired by his desire to obtain a degree 80 years later after his education began. Gossett completed his Associate of Arts degree in 2020, but had to wait for the 2021 graduation ceremony due to COVID-19. Gerlach surprised Gossett at the ceremony with an honorary doctorate of humane letters. I absolutely love it. Good for that man. Let's do it here. Thought of the Day happens every night at this time, where we ask a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air because we love the audience participation around here. Today's Thought of the Day is as follows. From UFOs, aliens, Bigfoot, Dogman, ghosts, gnomes, what would you like to experience and why? Ozzy, sister, totally Bigfoot. Ever since I saw one on the $6 million man when I was a kid, I've been pretty clean. Dirty Filth. I have seen the same ghost twice and a fairy once, maybe twice, but it may have been a gnome the second time. So I'd go with Sasquatch, probably less likely to shred me to ribbons like Dogman. Alicia, the Greys, because they have an ass whooping coming. They've clearly misunderstood the phrase, don't mess with Texans or their children. Stetson John wants to see gnomes. If they really exist, I would be so excited to talk with someone with that much knowledge about nature. Rob, I'd like to see a flying saucer, but not if it means getting visitors snatching me while I sleep. Why? It would be classic proof. 13 Ballads, ghosts. It would go a long way to answering the questions of the afterlife, real or not. Joey, a sea or lake monster, I think would be cool. Ronnie, I would be appreciative and maybe fearful to see any one of them. Big Pickle, gnomes, because I need someone to get into the crawl space under my house to help replace some old rusty pipes. Eric with a K, we are his 4th favorite show. We're number 4 for Eric with a K. He wants to see Sasquatch. Linda, fairies are little people because it's unique. ET UFO disclosure. I'd like to experience Spaced Out Radio discussing HETs. The hell are HETs? Oh, humanoid extraterrestrials that live among us. Oh, that's a good topic, actually. Chad, I want Matthew Roberts, Navy cryptologist aboard Theodore Roosevelt during the Gimbal and Go Fast incident experience with UFOs, ETs, domes, and ghosts. Ellie, while I'm a believer in the paranormal, UFOs, aliens, Bigfoot, ghosts, portals, I wouldn't want to experience any of them, except maybe a UFO, as long as it stayed at a distance. Diver Chick, I'd like to see a UFO, as obsessed as I am, having never seen anything out of the ordinary. Thank you to everybody playing in the Thought of the Day. We'll do it all again tomorrow on Facebook and Twitter. Thank you to Captain Shirk for the news and Butch Witkowski for Strange Days. And we got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight on YouTube, LGAB, Twitch, Revolution Radio, Spreaker, the Space Travelers Club, Facebook, and everybody rocking out on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing your evening with us, because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night. Rock and roll. Hi, Bug. Hi, Joint Boy. Come on, close it up. All right. I apologize. I just wasn't myself tonight. Hey, Joint Boy. Don't even start with me. My tolerance for trolling is about this high right now. Like that much, dude. So if you want to be a dick, go be a dick somewhere else. If you want to be cool and be a part of our family here, just hang out, have a good time. Act your age, too. And there you go. So you just got yourself blocked, you moron. You just got yourself blocked. Like, honestly, like, how much of a virgin do you have to be in order to go troll a chat room? Seriously. How much of a virgin do you have to be to do that? Like, honestly, it's fucking embarrassing. It really is. Like, I honestly wonder what would cause somebody to want to troll like that. Not just because of this show. I've seen it on other ones too, but I just don't understand it. Right? Hey, Rye Guy's back. How you doing, buddy? I don't know. I just don't get it. I don't get it. I guess that's what happens when you finally reach the end of the videos at Pornhub. It's the only thing I can think of. I didn't even think it was possible to reach the final videos on Pornhub. Probably good enough there. Wait 2 seconds. Oh. Tomorrow night's Geraldine Orozco. And the spiritual you? You can say weenie in here, Grandmaster. I give you permission to call them weenies. I just want to see something here. So there was one person who entered our chat room tonight, and I'm not going to call them out by name, okay? But this is kind of why I went off my little bit of a rant that I did earlier. So this person says on another show, Lou was acting like a baby, and I wish Dave over at SOR had the balls to call out Lou on that shit. But nope, sold out radio or sold out is right. And that's exactly the comment. Then that person has the nerve to come into my chat room tonight and be like, "Oh, hey, Dave, how you doing? Good to have you here. Good to see you, man. Hey, buddy, what's going on?" I don't like that. I don't like that. So that's why I said, and I couldn't give that example earlier. Look, you as an audience, you are free to listen to whomever you want, whatever you want, however you want at any time. But if you're going to slam me or my people in the chat room or our show, and then come in here and act all buddy like you're a big fan of the show, don't like it. Don't like it. Spineless. You know, it has nothing to do with the other show. The other show is a good program. You'll never hear me insult it because I do believe it's a good program. And for the record, also to be truthful, I don't go looking for that stuff. I have more things to do with my time, with my daytime job, with my family, with getting ready for the show. There are numerous people who bring up stuff to me on a daily basis. And if you're going to cut me down, just remember that it will likely come back because there's always people watching, just like I expect other people to hear what I'm saying about this tonight. You're right, PBR. It is sleazy. It is sleazy. Look, I will never say to anybody, look, if you're listening to that show, don't listen to this one. Never do it. A, that's not cool. B, you can listen to whomever you want. Right? You can listen to whomever you want. But there's a lot of people who are very protective of this show and what we do. and of me that they have no problem bringing it to my attention. And because they care and because they feel bad when they see crap like that. So I just want to tell you, listen to whom you want. If you want to go listen to that other show, I recommend you do. It's a good show, right? It's got a strong host. All right. And it's great. By the way, we topped out at about 212 tonight. That was pretty cool. But at 212. So I'm cool with that. Listen to whomever you want. There's a lot of good information out there. There really is. And this person, when he's, he provides good information. But I just don't like that two-faced stuff, man. I don't like it. Because that shit always comes back. And people like that are not welcome around here. And, you guys are very protective of me. I'm protective of you guys too. I'm very protective of you guys. Not sure what that is, Joe. So, either way, I don't believe in feuds. I don't believe in bullshit. We're all here for the same goal, and that's to get information out to our audience, and we're all blessed to have an audience. And that's just the way it is. All right. The point that I'm getting at is this. If you're going to insult me in one room and then come in here and play all buddy with me, you're not wanted here. You're not wanted here whatsoever. And that's the truth of it. Give me 2 secs here, guys. Bonjour, Jean-Paul. Yeah, welcome to June. Good night, Acadamie. I'll be right back, guys. Sorry about that. By the way, I'm going to keep you guys all as mods for the next couple of nights, just to make sure that nothing else happens. Oob wants a baseball bat. Bomber, it's don't take it out on the mods. It was a panic situation where we were being hit left, right, and center, and it was accidental. PBR. That is brilliant. I wouldn't be a mod for any channel that would have me as a mod. That is fucking funny. Oh my God, that is funny. All right, bear with me 2 seconds here, guys. I'll flip these over. The desert clam just blocked himself. No, that is the code. Try that one. All right, so what's the code for the other one? Guess we didn't get one. Let's resend it. Oh, Duke's still awake. Duke's still awake somewhere. I would have made Vin a wrench tonight, too. There it is. I'm worn out. I think Vinny had his kids. That's why. Right now it is 12:28 a.m. I actually was PBR. Hey, Stu Effin Gerson. Are you only 2 hours difference, P3, Gary? I thought you were 3 hours. All right, bear with me here, guys. $5:30 on Tuesday afternoon. That's hilarious. Paul, I apologize. I ask you this all the time. Are you in Australia or New Zealand? Tomorrow night's guest is Geraldine Orozco. And the spiritual you. Where is Alaska's greatest athlete? There she is. You're in Australia. Paul Holland, Australia. Duke has a crush on Geraldine. May have pulled ahead of both Fap and Vinny on that one, along with Rye Guy. Hello, Corey Christopher. What's going on? Thanks, Fapster. Thanks, Corey. Appreciate that. It's about as long as it's going to get from now on. At least until winter. I'll start growing it again in September. See how long we can get it. September to March, I think. Thanks, Rue Morg, for that super chat. Really do appreciate it. Welcome to our chat room as well. Thank you for joining us. Oh, God, Fapster, you kill me. You kill me. Oh. Oh. I have no idea how many super chats I missed tonight because of those idiots earlier. All right, tomorrow night on the show, we got Geraldine Orozco. I'm going to shut this down because I got to get going here for my bedtime, and I got to work in the morning. Hopefully, I think my anxiety attack is over, so I'll be able to go back to work tomorrow. Check out Paul Holland. Let's check out your Facebook page before I go. I got to re-add you, Paul, because I didn't have you on my new profile. Oh, what is that? Kendall? That's kind of cool looking. That's just sick. Your guitar collection is just terrible. I mean that in a very jealous way. Oh, that white Les Paul that you have, that standard. Oh. Hey, in that photo, Paul, with the Les Paul, the white Les Paul, what's that silver guitar with all the art on it? It doesn't have the headstock of a Les Paul. What is that one? Oh, there it is. There's Paul Holland has my dream Les Paul. Oh my God, I love that one. Paul, anytime you want to get rid of that blue standard, anytime you want to part ways with that blue standard, you just call me. I have a beautiful home for it. Or the white one or the black one. Oh. I want a Les Paul so bad. I know the blue one is the newest one to your collection. Here, if you want to see Paul's guitar collection, here, hold on. I'll share it with you guys. So let me just get rid of this right there. So this is Paul's guitar collection. Look at that. Hold on. Oh, there it is. Look at this one right here. That is my dream Les Paul right there. God, that's gorgeous. They're all gorgeous. There's more guitars over here. That's the one I was talking about. Look at that. That's just... Look at you with the Rickenbackers. And your Gretsch collection. That one's badass too. Wow. Oh, look at the sisters here. Not trying to scroll through all your pictures here. I'm just trying to. Oh, yeah, there we go. Look at that. Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm. These are Paul Holland's guitar collection. No, Fap, that's not true. I'm learning to play. I'm learning to play. Look at that. That is just beautiful. Mm-mm-mm. That is gorgeous. Gorgeous. Look at those. Well, one's a 12 string. Love the paint job on that. That's a beautiful green. Look at the different types of grain of wood here. Is that it for guitars? There's Paul Holland right there, everyone, playing the Rickenbacker. Looking like a modern day Tom Petty in Australia. There's his toys. Mandolin. Wow, violin. There he is in a courthouse. Oh, look at that. Where's your Gibson Explorer? Oh, she's beautiful. She really is beautiful. Damn it. That's Look at this. Holy shit. I think you need another guitar, buddy. That is awesome. Oh, there's a cutie. Look at those. Oh, there is an SG in there. Angus would be proud. Oh, and you play the bagpipes too. Son of a gun. Back in the days when he only had 3 Gibsons. And 5 Gretches. And some paintbrushes. Look at that. Your collection is beautiful, man. Your collection is beautiful. On that note, I'm going to bed. I got to go dream of Paul Holland's collection of Les Pauls. And that's my new baby right here. Oh. I'm too tired to pull it off the shelf, though. Wow, Fap. That's incredible. Dave's fascination with guitars is like the Brits with toothbrushes. Both never use either of them. Wow. Wow. Yeah. Amazing. Much love. Geraldine DeRosco tomorrow night on the show. I'll be back, and I know you guys will too. So let's meet tomorrow night. I'm going to bed. Have a good night, everyone. Take care.